Welcome to Casey Builds It. Today we're going to build an itinerary tool. So I built one for this Airbnb website about 6 months ago, but we're going to just build a Python standalone tool and see if we can make some different modifications with it and see if it will work. So hopefully this will not take too long. I did jot some notes down, so hopefully we can speed this up a little bit. So what we have with this website here is we have a check-in and check-out date, how many adults, if you have any kids, if you have dogs, and then if you have a mix of paid or if you want free or paid events here. So let's just check this out. Let's see if it's still working. So we'll just go outdoors and hiking for this option. And then we're going to click plan. So what will happen is it will build an itinerary based on these dates and then how many adults, kids, dogs, etc. that you have. And it will choose different, I guess, businesses or ideas that are in the area. So right here we have a Rocky Mountain adventure with little legs. So we have easy hikes, iconic views, and plenty of splash time for a toddler-friendly Colorado Springs escape. So right here, it just goes through some different ideas of what you could do. So we have a hike at Ute Valley Park, and then a late afternoon, I guess, drive-through of Garden of the Gods, and then dinner at a restaurant. And that's one day. Then we have the zoo and Seven Falls. The next day, a hike at Red Rock Canyon open space, a Pikes Peak scenic drive or the Cog Railway. And then we have an lazy afternoon back at the Airbnb. And then we could do some s'mores on the fireplace. So that is what we're going to try to generate with a few different changes on a standalone Python tool. Now, if this tool works, I will upload it to the website and you will find that in the files and then the free tools. But essentially, you could take that code and make any other changes and then put it on a website. Now, for that to work on a website, since you're using Python in the background, you're going to have to use a hosting provider that allows Python coding to be used. Like this website here, though, is hosted on Google Cloud and is running an app engine, so it can handle Python code in the background. But we're going to go over to Cursor, and what we're going to do is first, I'm just going to take this website here just for reference and to see if it can get any just general ideas out of it. So I'm going to go, I want to build a standalone Python tool with GUI that creates an itinerary. Here is an example of a website. Save the tool in this folder. So let me go back to the folder where I want the tool saved. I think it's over here. All right, so let's get started with the tool and just some different ideas. Now, what will be different about this tool compared to the website is I want to see if it can pull a specific area. So on the website, it does already have an area built in and it already scraped the things that you can do within the area. So this tool will not have it, but we need to put in an area and then see if it can scrape different ideas based off the area. And then I was thinking maybe even add in a weather API So then it would base the weather off the dates that you would put in. So let's just say if it was supposed to storm next week and you're going to that area and you wanted to do a bunch of hiking activities, maybe it would tell you that this might not be a good idea and you need a backup plan. So here are, these other ideas that you could do instead. Now, I don't know if that will work, but that is just a quick thought. So now let's go to, in this tool, we will input the area / location and then scrape different ideas within that area that we can do. Now, a different part of this tool is I'm going to try to have an input box of an area where you could put in what you want to do and then see if you can take that information and then scrape off different ideas in that area and then use those for the itinerary. Okay, we'll need to have a date selector. Let's just go start and finish. Need to choose how many adults, kids, dogs, paid / free or both for the things to do. What else? The itinerary will be built using Google Flash 2.5, and I will need a box to input / save the Google API. So once it gathers all this information, we're going to use Google Flash 2.5 just because it's cheap. We'll have to enter an API key, and then that will use the information to create the itinerary. And then let's go save the itinerary as a PDF. Since we do not have a website, we'll save it as a PDF. What else? Let's go with, I need an input box to add things I would like to do, and those, okay, and then use those ideas to scrape the area and use AI to generate the itinerary. Let's just go with that for now. I did leave out the weather part of it for the moment. Let's just go back to that other website, see if the itinerary is pulled up. And so I do have a print. So let me just go save as PDF. I'm going to go to the, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as a PDF, and then we'll use that PDF as an example. Here, just one second. I got to find my folder to save this in. Too many folders. All right. Man. Still all in documents. I'll try to just save it in here and make it easier. So let me go. Open up downloads here. Sometimes it will allow you to pull this info from a download, but sometimes it does not. Here, I'll do this. Come on. Copy, paste. All right, we're getting there. Okay. Use this as an example. All right, now we're going to see what this will build for us. Overall, I would think it would do most things correctly. The whole scraping a certain area kind of off the fly might be a little difficult. It's going to have to take some information and then I don't know if it's going to save it as a JSON file and then store that and then pull that up. But if we were using, let's say, this as a web application, what we would then have it do is if we had an area in here, and the first time you'd go ahead and scrape it, I would just save that into a database. So then if someone has some of the same ideas, then it would go out and search the database first, store those, and then go out and look for any other ideas, and then pull that all in at once into the itinerary. And you could probably do the same thing locally, just save it as a JSON file. But I'm not sure. That's just what I'm thinking off the top of my head. Everything else it should be able to do, but we will see what happens. Now, if you only have one location, then that's fine, because then you could actually spend the time, see what type of results that it saved for you, add in other areas or other ideas of things that you could do within that area, and then you would be good to go. So right now it's building in the Google Gemini 2.5 Flash. So it's going to create an endpoint so you can use that API, and then you'd have to go into I forget what it is, but Google's console for their AI platform, generate an API, and then you take that key and then we save it into the Python tool, which then that API key would get saved locally. So let's see where we're at. It's still building. It's trying to test some stuff. All right, so it does say that something is built. So let's take a look and see what happens. Should be pretty interesting here. All right, so we have where we're going to put our API key in, and we will save that there. We have an area. We have it still has a check-in, check-out date, which is fine. Adults, kids, a budget, and some of this took everything off of the website as I gave it for an example, which is fine too. And then it says okay, so we have things you would like to do, one per line. And that gave us examples all from the PDF that I gave it. And now we're going to scrape different ideas, generate the itinerary, and then we're going to save the PDF, and we have a preview. All right, so I'm going to go get the API key, and I will be right back. All right, so I got my API key saved here. What I'm going to just do first, we're going to keep the same location. I'm not going to pick any of these because I want to see what it does. I'm going to put listen to live music. Go for a hike. and visit a dog park. We'll just see what happens. All right, so here, let's put 1 dog, 2 adults. Let's go no kids. Let's change it. Let's change the date. Let's make it a little longer here. Let's go both free and paid. So now it's going to scrape. Honestly, I don't even know what it's scraping at the moment. So before, how it got the information was, I believe we scraped a lot of, it might have been Google business profile pages or something like that, which then gave us different restaurants, different things to do with the kids, etc. And then that stored all that information. But I'm not sure what this has here. Let's just look. So we have live in Colorado Springs, Pikes Peak, Community Center. We have an orchestra. Tickets are on sale now. I don't know if any of this is true, so we're just going to keep it at that. We have different bars, open mics, and then different events. All right. Now, what you could do too, let's just say this was something like an Airbnb or something that's going to be in one area. Now, you could connect up different APIs that would pull in all the information. So I did not do this for the itinerary here, but we have events. So there are different APIs set up in here. Like on this one, we have the Ford Amphitheater. So it does show all the different concerts and when they will be appearing. And then we do have other events that were pulled in from other sites that you could go through and search. So that could be potentially something you'd set up. Now, if you wanted to do this maybe statewide, then you're going to be looking at a lot more work, but you could go through each, area that you would want to do this, look at different APIs, look at different events and things that go on within that area or city and pull all this information in. And then if you put this on a website, then everything just be done in the background and then give you some results. So now let's go ahead and generate the itinerary. And we'll see what this comes up with, and then we'll save the PDF. And then once this is done, we'll change the area and we'll see if we'll get any different types of results. All right, so here we have kind of the name's pretty similar, but we have Rocky Mountain Pause and Peaks Adventure. We have a 5-night, 6-day adventure, which it looks like it might be. And that tells us what we're going to be doing. We have arrival, and then we're going to go to the Garden of the Gods here to see if it has actually any restaurants or if this is just more generic information. Old Colorado City. And then we have Pikes Peak. Does it give us any dog parks? We have dining and brewery, retreat, Colorado Springs for dinner. No. So some of this is more generic, but it will still work. And that's where I think pulling the other information, and I may have also actually got that information from using the Google Places API. So I may have put that in, and then on one of the other tools that I built, it may have went out and scraped all the different restaurants and things within town. And then it also, trying to think if this one does. So I know in the area guide here, we have how far it is from the actual location. but you can just see all the different things to do within the area. And then these were used in that within that itinerary. So now if we would go to, let's say, trying to think of a town or a different city. Let's just go Portland, Oregon, I guess. We'll keep the same things to do. Let's go ahead and scrape that area. No ideas were scraped. Check your connection. All right, so that one did not work. So let's see what's going on here. So now we're going to go back to cursor and say, change the location and no new ideas were scraped. So now we'll see if it can find what the issue was. But a lot of it comes down to, I don't know how it's scraping this information. But we're going to find out. So I don't know if it's just trying to use Google's API and their AI and trying to find different things, or what it's doing. Because I have had it go out and scrape a lot of information without actually telling it to. So, because I want to, honestly, I want to say some of this was done without me actually telling it what to do. It just went out and did it. But we'll get there. I really do think, though, the best option you would have if you wanted to build something like this for yourself would get a Google Places API key and scrape all of the different businesses and everything in town and the things to do. And then even come up with other API keys for if there's concerts or, let's say, sporting events. Look at all the main sites, pull all that information up, and then you'd be able to actually kind of scrape and create a lot better list than what we're doing right now. So this should be pretty interesting when it gets done. It's trying to look at OpenStreetMaps and everything else. So you could really make this tool pretty intuitive if you would want. It really all depends on how much money you'd want to spend with it. So you could use, Google Places API. You could embed maps. You could create directions. You could set it up so you have the like a button that says where your location is exactly, so it could look up your GPS coordinates. You could figure out all those things, and it could plan everything out for you, probably time wise, distance wise, everything. So you can really do whatever you want depending on what your budget is, because those API calls are not free. I think with Google you still might get like 1,000 free on some of those, but 1,000 free each month, I believe. But it all depends. Now you can't use you can use OpenStreetMaps, and sometimes they get upset if you're not actually using it on a browser that has an HTTP header, I believe. Sometimes with just a Python tool, if you scrape too much information, they may get a little upset with you. But we'll see. So it's still building out here. But if you look at this, if you go back to the website here, I mean, these are all kind of designed like you would see with your Google business profiles. And then if you wanted to go somewhere, you click on the website, it would bring you up to the website. If you needed to book anything, this here tells you how far it is from the location, hours, the amount of reviews at the time that this information was scraped. But yeah, let's see where we're at. So I think either way, after, if this does not work, I will not put it in the web page for you to download. We'll just end it here. But if this does work, then I'll just save this for you guys. You can check it out. You can build your own tool based off of this if you would like. All right, so it finally finished trying to fix our issue here. It probably took a good 8 minutes to run some new code. But let's see if anything worked here. We'll just go ahead and change the date. Let's go 1 kid, 1 dog. And then let's say Pikes, live music, and then lunch. So right now you can see it did say Portland, Oregon, and now it's trying to scrape places. I don't know what it's scraping yet, but let's find out. All right, it said it found 32 different ideas. So we have Portland Firefighters Park, and it has hours and everything else. All right, let's go ahead and hit generate. And let's come back to cursor, and then let's ask where are you scraping this information from? And then let's see what it says. It says right now it pulls from 3 primary sources. We have OpenStreetMaps, Wikipedia, and DuckDuckGo. Okay. Let's go back to the tool here. So we still have the 5-night, 6-day. We have day 1, Downtown Delights at Hillsdale Charm. It says we're going to check in at a hotel, which I did not tell it that we're going to, but hey. All right, it says we're going to go to Hopworks Urban Brewery. Does this even exist? Well, let's go over to Google and find out if this exists. Sure enough, it does exist. There's 2 of them, one on Southeast Pal Boulevard and Airport Way. All right. right, we'll just go ahead and save that. And for the heck of it, guys, let's just try one more. So let's go. Actually, I think there's Portland, Maine. What's Maine? Is Maine ME? What the heck is Maine? Yeah, I think Maine is ME. All right, so let's just go the same things here. Let's scrape ideas. So this is a little bit more interesting than what we initially had. Now, I don't know how much the API calls are costing. Using Gemini 2.5 Flash is, I believe, their cheapest model. I mean, you might be only spending a penny to go ahead and generate this information. But now if we use something like a Claude, say a Claude 4.6 or something on the higher end, you may be able to get more information or generate a better itinerary. But then again, that's going to cost you more money. All right, so we have arriving and charming old port. We have travel and check-in. We have Old Port stroll and lunch. We're going to head to the historic Old Port district. And we're going to admire the cobblestone streets and shops. And we're going to look for restaurants that have open patios and outdoor picnic tables for your dog. Because we have one dog here. Yeah, see, I still think if to get this even better, you'd want to pull, I think, all the information from Google Places. And then it would already know what restaurants are dog friendly. And then we could even we have the area location, which is pretty obviously general, but we could probably put in the actual address and then maybe even to how far of a distance that we want to travel. So if we want a dog friendly restaurant from, your exact location and you're willing to travel, let's say 1 mile, then it would pull up all that information and base your itinerary off of those specifications. But there we go. Like I said, I'll upload this to the site so you can download it if you would want, and then play with it, make any changes, go to Cursor, give this as an example and just let it play around. Now you will have to add in your own API key. And then you will just, for this example, go to Google. I forget what exact website is, but their website for their APIs or for their AI. Generate an API key, and then you can go ahead and have some fun with this tool. But if you guys have any questions or want to, see how you can make a tool that would be useful for you, please let me know. And until next time, sign up for Cursor and see how you can make your life easier.